Hello, this is Ollie's Movie Madness, and I'm going to be doing a movie review of Artemis Fowl. This film is really terrible. It's really bad because nothing is interesting about this film. The storyline I don't have to discuss. It's just Artemis trying to rescue his dad. That's it. That is your story. It's so cliche, so bland, not interesting. The performances are terrible, which is really disappointing because you have a great cast. Freya Shaw, who plays Artemis, it just felt like he was just going through the motions, just not giving a shit. He just wanted to get this movie over with. The character of Artemis is completely wrong. He's supposed to be a villain. Here they make him into a hero. He doesn't really go through any arc. He doesn't really go through a character development. He's just boring. The scenes where he's fighting the fairies are just really dull and very filler heavy. Josh Gad does nothing in this film, which is sad because I like Josh Gad and Murder on the Orient Express. I liked him in the Frozen movies, but here I don't think he was. I don't think he was that good in this movie. In fact, he was really terrible in this. He played this mythological creature who narrates the story, and he shits and eats dirt. That's all he does. He doesn't really do anything. His character's bland. Moving on. Judi Dench doesn't really do anything in this film. She doesn't do anything. She's just there to give exposition. Her character, I honestly forgot her character's name. I don't really care at this point. Holly is just bland. I don't know the actress's name. It's just, there's not much for me to say about these performances. Now, you may think that having the Penguin in this movie, Colin Farrell himself, would save it, but I'm sorry to say this, but Colin Farrell was really bad in this movie. In fact, I would say that this is even worse than his performance in Daredevil 2003. Yeah, I think his performance in this movie is really bad because he's barely in the movie. He doesn't do anything. Instead, we Colin Farrell's a great actor. If you watch him in After Yang, The Penguin, The Batman, and Phone Booth, he is a tremendous actor. But here, he's just really boring and really bland. You know, as much as I like Colin Farrell, I think this is his worst movie he ever did, worse than Daredevil. But putting him aside and the character, because the character is just nothing, he doesn't really do anything. The effects are really terrible. They are so uncanny to look at. I don't know the budget of this film, but I'm sure it cost Disney a lot of money, and they lost it all. They did. Because the effects look so bad. I would say they look worse than the effects in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or even Thor Love and Thunder. Because at least with those two movies, the effects looked better than the effects in this film. The director by Kenneth Branagh, it's kind of bad. In fact, it's really bad because he gets everything about Artemis wrong. Because Artemis is supposed to be a villain, but here they make him into a hero, which does not make any sense. And sadly, this guy's a great director. You know, he directed the first Thor movie. He directed the murder mystery films like Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, A Haunting in Venice. But here, I don't know what he was doing. He just gets everything wrong. And you go from, directing the very first Thor movie, one of the best MCU movies, to directing this, and it's just really bad. I don't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't have much to say about the directing. He gets everything wrong. And I just feel so sorry for Kenneth Branagh. The villain's bland. I don't have anything to say about her. I forgot the villain's name. I forgot the actress's name. Moving on from that, the dialogue is terrible. Nothing interests me. And I would say this movie is even worse than Black Widow. Because at least Black Widow at its worst was just mediocre. But at least that film was watchable. This is completely unwatchable. You know, again, the action sequences are really bad. It's just CGI all over. There's no practical effects. And no joke, when I watched this movie, the CGI just gave me a headache. It looked really bad to look at. They just look... The effects look so terrible. Again, the CGI creatures look bad. Everything is a horrible green screen. This has awful writing, bad dialogue, bad character development, or lack thereof, because there's not really any character development. And this is the worst Disney film I have ever seen. So in conclusion, I hated this film. I really did. It's boring. It gets everything about the books wrong. The acting's really bad. And sadly, you have Colin, Farrell, and Josh Gad, but they don't do anything. Judi Dench doesn't really do anything. Again, Artemis as a character is so bland. Again, dialogue sucks. The effects are bad, and even the action sequences are really bad. There's not much I can say about this film, although I will admit it did have one redeeming quality. It's not Disney Plus, because Disney knew this movie was gonna suck. So after 2020, they just gave this movie the boot and kicked it off their streaming service. So it's not a Disney Plus film. So they just threw it into the void. Essentially, that's where this movie belongs, in the garbage dump. And I give Artemis Fowl a 0 out of 10. Again, the only thing I liked is that it got kicked off of Disney Plus, and that's it. Sadly, the acting's really bad. It's just unwatchable garbage. So that's going to be it for my movie review of Artemis Fowl. Hope you guys enjoyed.